Okay, so to continue on from the previous lesson, as you saw, when we were on the Options tab, we can use the X mirror and the Topology mirror to mirror the vertex group to the left or the right side when we are modifying the weight values with our mouse using these brush tools. Okay, so this is what these two options are for, to mirror the weight values of vertex groups. Now you saw that when we enable it over here and when we switch to edit mode, it also enables it over here. But these two options are only for mirroring the position of the vertices. It does not care about vertex groups. Okay, so keep this in mind. Go ahead and uncheck this and now switch back to weight paint mode over here. So what we're going to do now is actually take a look at this concept that has to do with mirroring vertex groups. So we've already seen how it works in the vertex group panel, and we've already seen how it works in edit mode, but we want to see how it works in weight paint. Now, in order to understand how it even works in weight paint, we actually have to backtrack, build our way back up to weight paint, meaning that we're just going to look at this concept of mirroring vertex groups so we can understand what the differences are between working in the panel, working in edit mode, and working in weight paint. So the first thing that we have to do is actually click on this bone, do Alt R to reset it, go ahead and zoom out, do Shift middle mouse button to pan it over here. Now of course we have to apply the mirror modifier to even see this. So go to the modifiers tab and open this up. Now, what you need to keep in mind is that Blender allows you to apply the mirror modifier in weight paint. And you do not want to do this because this is going to cause issues a little later on. So you want to always apply your modifiers in object mode. So go ahead and switch to object mode first, apply the mirror modifier, and now switch back to weight paint. So this is the right way to do it. Now, of course, the other thing here is that if we want to mirror vertex groups to the left or the right, one of the opposite side needs to be an empty vertex group. So if we click on this bound, you can see that the vertices are already assigned, right? So if you already have vertices assigned to the opposite end of the vertex group, as you saw, all you're going to be doing is flipping the weights left and right if you use the mirror features. Okay, so we're going to look at that concept to make sure we understand. So what I want you to do is actually first switch to edit mode over here. Make sure that you are in a wireframe mode, and here we have show weights on. You want to make sure that that's enabled so you can see. Go ahead and switch to this data tab over here and go ahead and click this and type in dev.arm.u. Just click over here. Let's just keep it this way so we can keep everything as simple. Now go ahead and save your file over here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is go over here and hover our mouse and just take a look at what it says at the end of this sentence. It says otherwise copy from unselected. So we already know what this means. We can do A to select everything, A to deselect everything. Basically just press the C key and just scroll your middle mouse button and just select a bunch of vertices over here just like this, right? Right click to get out of it. The reason we can do this is we've already seen that as long as we include the vertices that make up the vertex group over here on this opposite side, it'll simply just copy over. So now, as I said, that when we click over here, we already have the vertex group. Okay, so we need to make sure that this is an empty vertex group. The reason for this is because .l and .r have a special meaning in Blender. If you already have a vertex group assigned, basically what's going to happen is the .l is going to get assigned to the .r, and the .r is going to get assigned to the .l. And this is of course not what we want. We want to mirror the vertex group. So over here, click on .r, go over here and make sure you do clear active. So now it's just an empty vertex group. So now when we click over here on the .l, we come over here and fire this off. It's going to make a copy of the vertex group and assign it to .r. Go ahead and click this. Now if you click over here, you'll see that it mirrors the vertex group. So this is how that works. Do Control Z a few times until it goes away. So this again is now an empty vertex group. Go ahead and click on .l. Now the other concept here is that if we press the C key and go ahead and select all the vertices on the other side, right click to get out of it, and if we click over here and hover our mouse, right before the last sentence it says flipping when both sides are selected. So we know that when we click on this, what it's going to do is going to completely move the vertex group from the .l, and of course it's going to assign it to the .r. Okay, now do Control Z to undo this. Make sure you click on .l and it appears over here. Okay, so now you understand how this works over here, again using this option over here. Okay, so we're going to do A to D, select everything, press the C key and go ahead and just select the vertices again. Right click to get out of it. Now we're going to go to the Tools tab and take a look at how this works. So if you hover your mouse, you can see that it says exactly the same thing. So here we're doing the same thing, right? There is no vertex group assigned to this. It's an empty vertex group. So click over here. Of course, if we click on a mirror, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to mirror it over here, and if we click on .r, we can confirm that it worked. Do Control Z to undo this. Control Z a few times, and go ahead and click on the .l. Press the C key, and now go ahead and select all the vertices over here. And here we're just going to do the same thing. Flip the weight. Right click to get out of it. Now when we have the vertices selected, click on this, and now when we go to a mirror, it'll just flip it over to the .r. Okay, do Control Z to undo this until this disappears. Click on .l to make sure that it's here. So now you can see that how this concept is working. Okay, we're just going to do A to D select. Now what we're going to do is switch to weight paint and take a look at how does it work in weight paint, because it's going to work a bit differently. Go ahead and click on weight paint. Now in order to make this work in weight paint, what we're going to do is first take a look at when we are emulating this concept as if we were in edit mode. It's definitely going to work the same way. So go ahead and click this. Now of course we need to select the vertices in the back, so we have to enable this option so it's a true wireframe. Notice that we are in wireframe over here, so now we can see the vertices in the back. So just to confirm, this is an empty vertex group. Click over here. Now press the C key and go ahead and assign, select a bunch of vertices over here. Right click to get out of it. Okay, so you can see that when we are in this mode, we're going to get the same options, right? So I'm not going to do this again because you know how this works. What we want to do is go to the Tools tab and take a look at this, right? So now when we click on a mirror, it should do the same thing. If we do .r, you can see that it works. Now do Control Z a few times until it disappears. Okay, so notice that in weight paint it's a bit different. When we do Control Z, it simply switches over here, which it wasn't doing in edit mode. So we're going to have to do Control Z a few times. Basically it's going to deselect. So now I'm just going to do Shift Control Z to reselect, do .r to make sure that it's not there. Okay, now go ahead and click on .l, and of course if you press the C key and select all these vertices on this side, it's just going to do the same thing. Right click to get out of it, click on this, and it's just going to move it completely to the .r. Okay, we're going to do Control Z until it comes back over here. A to D, select all the vertices. Now go ahead and click this off. We don't need to see it. Okay, so now you know how this is working. Okay, so what we want to do is actually turn this off now and take a look at how do we make it work where we don't have the ability to select the vertices, where we're just using the pure weight paint. Now in order for this to work, what you actually have to do is that you really can't have an empty vertex group. What you have to do is actually delete this vertex group. Okay, so go ahead and delete this. Now click over here. Now in order for this to work, you're going to have to make a copy of this vertex group, double click here, and then erase this and type in .r and enter. This is a requirement if you want to mirror vertex groups in weight paint without emulating the edit mode. Now you have to click on .L. So basically, now when we mirror this, what's going to do is simply going to take the opposite version .R and flip it to the side. Notice that both .L and .R on this side. Go ahead and click this. Now when you click on a mirror, you'll notice that when you click on .R, it mirrors it on this side. Okay, I'm going to do Control Z to undo this and do it again a few times and make sure that both are here. Yep, they're both here. Now when you have .L over here, if you click over here and do mirror vertex group, it should do the same thing. Go ahead and click this. So you see how this works? So that's basically the difference when you're using this pure weight paint concept. And remember, you cannot have the vertex group already assigned like this. When you go to .L and if you attempt to mirror it, it's just going to simply flip. It'll just keep flipping the weights, right? For .L will be assigned to .R and .R will be assigned to .L. So it's going to behave in a way that you're not expecting. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Now, the last thing I want to show you is that if you click over here and actually click on this vertex, notice that over here we are on dev arm.upper.L. Now go to the options tab and click on X mirror over here. Okay, so if we change this value over here to, let's say, 88899 or something, whatever. Now go ahead and choose the opposite end. Okay, so you'll notice that the dev.arm.upper.R also got this. So you can also, when you have this on, you can change the values like this. So that's what I wanted to show you over here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go ahead and just reload this file. Okay, now let's go ahead and actually switch back to weight paint. Now remember, we don't actually have the mirror modifier on over here, so that doesn't matter to us anymore anyways. Okay, so what we want to do now is take a look at, let's go ahead and first delete this over here so we can see all the vertex groups. Click your mouse and click on this bound. So of course all these other options are going to work basically the same way, right? If you click on normalize all, it's just going to normalize and make sure you uncheck lock active. So here you can choose all groups, you can do deform pose bones only, or you can do selected pose bones. So the selected pose bones basically means that you need to first of all investigate what vertex groups are on these vertices. So if we switch to this over here and click on this vertex, you can see that we have the shoulder, the chest, the neck, right? So what it's saying is that you need to select the neck, let's say press the chest, the shoulder over here, and whatever other bone that you need if you want to normalize over here on the selected bones. So it's only going to do this on vertices that are actually using these vertex groups. Remember, selecting on the bones in weight paint is basically the same thing as selecting all multiple vertex groups. That's the concept behind it. Okay, so if over here we switch to selected bones, now notice that this is the thing that I wanted to actually point out to you. See, when we selected the bones and we went over here and switched this, it basically reset itself. It basically reset itself, meaning that when you had the bone selected and when you clicked on normalize, it went back to the original way. So in order to make this work, what you have to do is you have to first select the bones. Okay, let's select this bone, this bone, this bone. I'm just going to come back to this bone. Now, if you want to use this function selected bones, you actually have to reset it. You have to click on normalize again, then you can do selected bones, and now you'll see that it works. That's the thing that's a bit tricky to understand. You just need to keep this in mind, that once you fire this off and you come in here and start changing a few things, and if you come in over here, change anything, it's just simply going to reset exactly the way it was when you had first fired it off. Anyways, go ahead and reload this, right? And over here, we're actually going to switch to weight paint over here, zoom in a bit. Go ahead and save this so we don't have to keep doing that. Okay, so that's basically what normalize is. Normalize all means that you're going to normalize all the vertex groups to a value of 1, right? The total added up value for all the vertex groups that are assigned. So because you can have a mixture of vertex groups in your vertex group panel, where you can have vertex groups that are going to be used internally by Blender, let's say to select different parts of the body, that's also going to normalize over here. Meaning that if we click on the plus sign and just go over here and assign this group over here, this has nothing to do with bones. See, if you click this, this is for the deformed bones only. But this is showing all the vertex groups. So if we change this value over here, you'll notice that over here, I'm just going to change a bunch of values to show you how this is working, right? Remember, we're changing stuff. So if we change stuff, we have to go back and click this again. Click it, right? So over here, it's normalizing all the vertex groups. Now, when we do deform pose bones, it's going to go back to 690, which it was. See, if I change this to 780, click on normalize again. Okay, change this over here to see these. Click on normalize. You'll see that only these two values are going to change for the deformed bones. That's what it's doing, and it's not touching this value. But if you do all groups, then it's going to touch all the values over here. So that's how that concept is working. Go ahead and just reload this file. And of course, we've already seen how normalize works, right? That's just going to look at all your vertices and bump up the highest vertex weight value to 1. And as soon as it does that, it'll stop. So over here, if we actually come in over here, press the F key, and go ahead and blur some of these values out. Go back to add over here. Now when we click on normalize, it's going to move up all the values until it hits 1, then it's going to stop. So if you keep clicking it, it's not going to do anything. And as I've shown you before, you can click over here and basically blend this concept. We can click over here, you can see that it's 978. So here I'm just going to select on this one, press the shift key on this, and let's say when we click on normalize, it's kind of like it's coming back, right? You are basically doing a gradient slowly. That's basically what this is doing. So we've already looked at what mirror does. Go ahead and just reload this file over here, and I'm going to actually go to tools and save it so I don't have to keep changing this. Of course, invert is invert. We've already seen how this is going to work. Now over here, it's working a bit differently because we don't have the mirror modifier on. So over here, we can just do invert, where you can have these both options off. This is active vertex group, same thing selected, deformed bones, all groups. So here, the active group, what we have, it's basically inverting the values that it had, right? And if you click on invert again, it'll just go back to the way it was. That's how that works. And of course, clean, you've already seen how that works. When you click on clean, it's just going to start from the outer and go inwards, and you can start to drop vertex groups below this value. That's how this concept is working. Okay, so go ahead and just reload this file, and we're going to pick this up in the next lesson. Thank you.